Score at the moment, of course, 0-0, and we're off. David Ruckley gets his first touch of the ball in a Yorkshire shirt. Never had an appearance at any sort of level for the Yorkshire or Great Britain. Whereas his opposite number, Joe Lydon, 16 Great Britain appearances, plenty of experience in that division. And Kelvin Skirrett, one of the people we were talking about earlier. Hobbs kicks that one long, but Lydon will pick it up in his own 25 and try and run away. Ellery Hanley, back in this country after a session in Australia. A reasonable crowd building up under the new Leeds lights. Nowhere near the numbers that turned up at the last one at Central Park, Wigan, when over 9,500 were present. Andy Gregory, ball along the line. Andy Courier, another selection of Doug Lawton's that was criticised earlier. A Wigan colleague of Ellery Hanley's there, Andy Goodway. I was wondering what the squares are on the pitch at the moment. They've cut some 6-inch channels into the turf to try and make sure that the drainage is away. Within another 6 or 7 weeks they'll have gone, and the pitch will look not like a checkerboard but more like the normal Headingley surface. David Hobbs has kicked nearly 20 goals for Bradford this season already, including 1-6 and 1-9 performance. He's in good form with the boot. As Yorkshire press in, Skerrett plows into 2 defenders, but no problem for the Lancashire tackling there. And his partner Hobbs. And so all the front row have now touched the ball there. Kevin Beardmore. Yorkshire now just some 5 yards from the Lancashire line, exerting some pressure. Derek Fox, Ellery Hanley, and Hanley's over. Good start for Yorkshire there. Ellery Hanley taking that pass and wriggling over. Morris.
Typical Peter Fox move. 2 drives to the post by the, or 3 by the front row, switch across by his half-back Derek Fox, and then a drop-off pass to Ellery Hanley, which it's a double switching, changing direction, and very typical of Peter Fox. Very good try, very well worked.
So Yorkshire take an early 4 points lead through Ellery Hanley, recovered from his concussion that he received in the State of Origin clash.
The build-up to the first Yorkshire try, as I say, tap penalty taken. Skerrett makes a huge drive. Hobbs will take the second drive. Again, a very good tactic indeed to suck in the defenders. Derek Fox takes the pivot position and will go back towards the touchline after this play of the ball. As Fox goes across the field, notice how Nicky Kiss in particular is sucked across with him. A drop-off pass sends Ellery Hanley in the opposite direction for a superb try.
You never know. Be missed from shorter distance than this, Morris.
Yes, a goal kicker gets no extra money, Andrew. It's one of those things, you either kick goals or you don't. It's always nice to have a good goal kicker, of course, particularly in key matches like this.
David Hobbs, and that's straight between the middle. So Yorkshire 6, Lancashire 0 after just 4 minutes of play.
I think, Andrew, looking back, if anybody returns the video and watches it again, you'll see the Lancashire forwards are a bit slow in moving up, particularly from the tap penalty when Skerrett was allowed to make a lot of ground. Then Hobbs made a lot of ground from the ensuing play of the ball. The Lancashire defence isn't getting up quite quick enough.
And so Ruckley gets his second touch of the ball, feels it well, and makes a good 20 yards. Yorkshire seem that little bit more eager at the moment, Morris. You think Peter Fox has got them fired up?
Well, they're defending a 3-0 winning aggregate, so the force have sort of got the tails up. But the Yorkshire forwards are certainly making a lot of yardage against the Lancashire forwards defence. round the play of the ball. And of course there's always this danger man whenever he gets the ball at Hanley. It's nice to see Andy Gregory playing with a bit of fire again.
Yes, it's seems to have regained, as you say, as far as Roy Powell, local favourite here at Headingley, moves forward. Had a good tour down under. As Derek Fox kicks along deep, bisecting the two defenders there. But it's picked up by Joe Lydon. And what a pair of fullbacks that he had to choose from, Dougie Lawton, Joe Lydon and Stevie Hampson.
Yes, it's Stevie Hampson's got to be the most unluckiest player in the world, with his number of Wembley appearances missed, and of course missing the tour last time, Andrew. But I hope for one, I'm sure everyone listening to or watching the video will agree, that Steve Hampson gets back quickly to full fitness. I'm sure he will do.
Lancashire defending's just outside their own 25. As Andy Gregory makes a little one of his famous darting runs, throw that ball out wide and just couldn't pick it up on the right flank there. Rick Thackeray made the gap, but then just couldn't take the ball, couldn't the wingman, when there was a slight gap there, but certainly marked by Carl Gibson, and that would have been a real race for the ball. At half-time we have the Rodstock Sprint Challenge, which should be quite interesting. Martin Afire, who of course cannot play in this game because of his London origin. And when Peter Fox asked where was Martin Afire born, and they said London, I think he was quite relieved.
Yes, I think I would have been too. The kid can run, there's no danger about it. A most exciting prospect for many, many years. And it's nice to see wingers like Afire getting the chance these days in this so-called modern football. Andrew, the wingers seem to be the recent years being the forgotten men.
Skerrett, and he's lifted up and bodily dumped there by Sean Wayne and Mike O'Neill. To his fellow prop, Hobbs. Beermore at the play of the ball. Fox missing out Hanley this time. That's another wild pass. But Carl Gibson has his first touch. As Wigan's tackling, well, it's the red and white hoops. As Lancashire's tackling goes in well there. Powell trying to keep the ball alive, but brought down.
I think we'll see the kick any time, Andrew.
Skerrett pushing off one man, good inside pass, but brought back for forward. Referee Mr. Whitfield right on the spot there to find that. I think if it had been misplaced, Morris, they would have got away with that.
Yes, good positioning by Robin Whitfield. He's a good referee, has been for many years. But Peter Fox's usual coaching game is to rely a lot on the kicking game, and I would have expected, if nothing had come from that, we would have seen a possibly short kick to the line from Fox.
Oh, chance for Lancashire, but smothered there by Gary Schofield. So all the Leeds players here have had a touch, and the crowd will be more than interested in that. Schofield in a tackling stint there. Again, the kick out. And Carl Gibson's going to have to watch this one. It bounces quite kindly for him. There's nowhere to go as the Lancashire tackling comes in. And some few notes on Lancashire-Yorkshire clashes. The most points in a match was 20. That was by Victor York of York back in 1958. That came from 10 goal kicks. Quite a significant contribution he made to that game. And the player who's played in the most games for Lancashire and Yorkshire, well, it's Jeff Gresham for Yorkshire. He played 14 times, 9 times whilst he was with Dewsbury, and 5 with Bradford Northern. And Eric Hughes of Widnes with 12 appearances for Lancashire. Just a couple of facts to keep us going whilst the play is at a deadlock. Derek Fox kicks long for the corner. Racing back there, Mark Preston. And Henderson Gill waiting for him. And Henderson Gill wraps him in a bear hug, drags him to the ground. There was just nowhere that Preston was going there. Peter Fox told me earlier in the week that it's Henderson Gill who gets his team motivated in the changing rooms. There's no problems with him being a Yorkshireman. And Dougie Lawton will, I'm sure, be hoping that somebody can fire his side at the moment, because they certainly haven't troubled Yorkshire at the moment, Morris.
No, I think we saw a little bit of presence and experience here when he fielded that ball, Andrew. He ran straight at Henderson Gill and had plenty of yardage inside. Now the kid's supposed to be quick. I would advise a winger to come in off his touchline in a situation like that. He could have so easily been knocked into touch the first tackle with Yorkshire's heading ball from the ensuing scrummage. I would have said come and field a little bit. Showed his inexperience.
We've got just over 10 minutes of the game gone, and Yorkshire given offside there. That was the number 11, Paul Dixon of Halifax. Yorkshire team made up of virtually 2s from most clubs, 2 from Bradford Northern, a couple from Castleford, and the Wigan contingent, of course, of Goodway, Hanley and Henderson Gill. A witness of providing 6 and Wigan 5 of the Lancashire starting lineup, so we've some 14 players from those 2 clubs involved in this game. Of course, the players must be born within the county of the origin, and so it's a true Lancashire-Yorkshire battle. Gregory fortunately went straight past David Hume, and good tackle coming in there by Tony Marchant, because Paul Laughlin looked as though he was going to skip over as Lancashire press into that corner, keeping the ball alive. But Yorkshire tackling, holding them back, but that looked like a chance for Paul Laughlin there, until Tony Marchant just got hold of his ankle and managed to swing him back round. Lancashire piling on the pressure just 3 yards from the Yorkshire line. Once again, tackling by Roy Powell. The ball runs loose and dropped on there by Gary Schofield. So Ellery Hanley and Roy Powell doing the trick for Yorkshire.
Andrew Curry looks to be in good form, Andrew. A couple of times he's held the ball, just above the passage of play in the corner. Looks very quick, very much learning from his trip to Australia. Andrew Curry, a witness. Very good prospect indeed.
Yes, there was just that, the first time they really had an attack, Morris, and they looked quite dangerous in that left-hand corner. Once again, nearly getting away there, but another good tackle coming in by the Yorkshire defence, but then suddenly losing the ball. Picked up by the Yorkshire defenders. Kevin Beardmore, and an offside decision given by referee Mr Whitfield, stamping his authority early in this game. 13 minutes gone, and Yorkshire holding a 6 points to 0 lead from Ellery Hanley's trying the 4th minute, converted by David Hobbs. And Hobbs and Scurritt doing quite a good stint for Yorkshire at the moment.
Yes, again, typical sort of club form, 8 and 10, although Brennan Hill's playing in the front row for Bradford Northern, but typical sort of club stint, playing very well indeed. I'm just wondering how much Lancashire may miss the withdrawal of Mike Gregory, the Warrington old forward. Tremendous tour a couple of months ago, and a great little forward, and one that's improving all the time, Andrew, and I think Lancashire may have missed him at the end of the day.
Yes, they had to make 3 changes during midweek for injuries that were sustained at the weekend, and that can't have helped Dougie Lawton, especially as he's only got 1 evening's training with his players.
Yeah.
Morris, you've been a coach of Great Britain, you must find it difficult if you've only got such a very short space of time.
Yes, it's not the best sort of preparation. I haven't seen the preparation of both camps. I think Peter Fox had his lads about the same time. I think they got together on Monday, and then they had a run out before this evening's game. So it's not the ideal preparation, but of course, if a game of this importance has to take its proper place, then more time's got to be given in preparation of the teams.
Derek Fox retreats behind the scrum, but that's one against the head. Good win against the head there. Kevin Beardmore beating Nicky Kiss to that one. And Yorkshire now just some 15 yards as Hobbs puts it out to Henderson Gill, and Henderson Gill just virtually was spun round there by Rick Thackeray to manage to just put a foot into touch. So it's another scrum down, 5 yards out. New ruling this season that the scrum half that has not got the put in has to retire behind his own scrum, and this time it comes out on the Lancashire side. Andy Gregory and Nicky Kiss making the scrums even in that corner there. Ellery Hanley doing another massive tackling stint, Morris.
Yeah, good all-round footballer. He's got the reputation of being, or he had when he was younger, being a bit lazy. Only wanted to play when he had the ball in his hands, but he's a very strong tackler.
And you see Andy Gregory wriggling his way through a typical Andy Gregory move, but the number 5 there, Mark Preston, dropping that ball, and Yorkshire back on the attack. And apart from that little flurry we had just a few minutes ago from Lancashire, it's been nearly all Yorkshire. Kevin Beardmore at the play of the ball. And Yorkshire's forwards running onto the ball with quite a lot of power. Hanley, it's got men outside in Ruckley. Marchant, but Marchant hit with a terrific tackle, but he still keeps going. And in fact, the man that hit him there is still down. Can't quite see who it is at the moment because he's rolled over, but as the play goes on, and that ball bouncing like a bar of soap there, nobody wants to get their hands on that one. As Lancashire try and break away from their own 25. Just over a quarter of an hour gone. And a stunning tackle there. Skerrett, Hanley, Schofield, Gill, but Gill's dropped it. And Mark Preston has managed to retrieve a very difficult situation, but I'm sure that if Henderson Gill had picked that one up cleanly, I think he would have scored, Morris.
Yes, it came from a super tackle by Andy Goodway on young Roberts. He shook the ball from his grasp, attacked immediately to the right-hand touchline and almost allowed Henderson Gill in. It would have been a real opportunist try, Andrew.
Well, once again, Andy Gregory, aided there by Nicky Kiss in the centre of that scrum, get the ball out, but Lancashire trying to throw it under their own posts, and dangerous situation to be in there. Fortunately got away with it. Little chip into space by David Hume. Oh, and that one just bouncing so awkwardly for Rick Thackeray. If he'd have stepped up and bounced into his hands, he would have been away, but just the spin of the ball, as happens with a rugby ball, on the ball diverted away from him.
Super little kick, Andrew. Well aimed, but I think it was David Hume who put it in. Very well aimed kick. Everything was right except the last bounce, as you say. That's the sort of thing that happens.
I think the Turf Research Institute at Bingley might have had something to do with that, Morris, and digging these channels in the pitch. And Kelvin Skerrett has had some tremendous tackles put in on him, but Roy Powell, inside to Beardmore, Beardmore to Hobbs. But good Lancashire tackling, keeping them out. Fox, Goodway and Hanley. And Hanley throws that one very wildly back.
I think he was caught in two minds there, and I think Eller was either going to dummy and go himself, as he's been doing so much in Australia, and scoring tries with it, but the dummy sort of half-slipped, and just at the moment to bring it a return of the ball, and they finished up spilling it. Bad miss really for the county.
Yorkshire still leading by that Ellery Hanley try. He might have thrown that ball away, but that's a good tackle coming from Roy Powell. So it's still with some 18 minutes of the game gone. It's Yorkshire 6, Lancashire 0. Hanley trying a Hobbs conversion. Hobbs doing what he does for Bradford week in, week out, and taking the men with him. People felt he was unfortunate not to go to Australia along with his pack colleague there, Kelvin Skerrett. Can only take so many players with them, and as Morris said earlier, selection is a very difficult subject. Schofield on that Fox pass, but well telegraphed and well held by Andy Gregory. Yorkshire now have 4 players on this side. Henderson Gill trying to wriggle in. Ruckley was on the outside, but he was well covered. Fox, neat little chip through, but well read by the Lancashire defence.
Yeah, Sean Wayne did well to get down to that ball, then the Wigan prop. Stiff-built lad, and the ball down low at his ankles. Andrew, he did very well indeed.
And Yorkshire dumped Nicky Kiss into touch. Combination of Henderson Gill and Kevin Beardmore just proving a little bit too much for Nicky Kiss there. Andy Courier already off, and the Lancashire substitute on, so that's a bit of a blow for Lancashire again, Morris.
Yes, with Courier playing so well in the first few minutes, looking very pacey, very confident and very strong. Suddenly they're without him, it'll be a big hole to fill.
And that ball, Nicky Kiss winning the scrums quite well now, since Beardmore just took one against the head of
I think he needed it then, Andrew. He needed it because it would have been a bad play by Nicky. He should never have been pulled into touch. He should have surrendered to the tackle earlier than he did. So he's pulled a little bit back. He gave up, coughed up possession and then won it again against Edinburgh.
When I've been taking a note of Ellery Hanley's tackle count, Morris, that's about his 15th tackle already.
Yeah, very involved this evening, Ellery, very involved indeed.
And that's going to be bouncing awkwardly and Ruckley going back, but now he's tapped it with his foot, so he's okay. And once again tries to show some of the form that he's shown with Castleford this season. I saw them a few weeks ago, and he had an excellent game against Halifax. Henderson Gill's powerful running there, showing a tremendous amount of power, Morris.
Yes, he's been out. He's had one or two little run-ins with Nicky Kiss, Henderson, during this game.
Inside, Marchant.
Ellery seems to be just winning the battle as he dragged Nicky into touch, and he's just made a...
No love lost between teammates on a night when it's Lancashire versus Yorkshire. Oh, and thrown away by Yorkshire there, but nobody with, I think that's Mike O'Neill.
Yeah.
Nobody with him to support him there when little inside ball might have proved difficult for Yorkshire. And once again, Yorkshire's tackling good. Rick Pike goes down in that tackle. Andy Gregory trying his best to get Lancashire moving. Just had that one foray, but that's O'Neill inside there to Paul Laughlin. Of course, Yorkshire won't want to give anything away with him in any sort of range, Morris.
No, he can certainly hoof a ball, can Paul. The Lancashire support seems to be picking up a bit.
Yes, and Gregory and Hume there just trying to get the wingman away, but Yorkshire's tackling once again.
They've just been a little bit lacking in the support up to now.
That's right up into these new lights, and there's two players under it, Goodway, and he took it well at the second attempt. Schofield's away. Can he get there? He cuts inside, he cuts outside again, back inside. He's got Fox with him, out to Henderson Gill, and Henderson Gill is going to go over. What a super try, but made there by number 3, Gary Schofield. He turned the Joe Lydon inside out, Morris.
Yes, well, Joe was unfortunate, left in that terrible situation of having two men running at him head-on. You're very isolated at full-back, Andrew, and it's a full-back's nightmare. But Schofield did particularly well and showed a tremendous amount of sort of not being greedy. One or two players might have had to go to the post themselves when he beat Lydon, but he turned to his right, saw the support in Henderson Gill, give him the pass, and Gill just held off Preston.
And if Gill
very
hadn't got that ball, Fox was there as well.
Exactly. Whether Derrick could have reached the line, I don't know, because his pace is his strong up, but he did well to get in that position.
And good backing up there, Morris.
Yes, good
Yorkshire.
support play, yes. And there we see Schofield absolutely outstrip young Laughlin, tear down the field, cut inside Lydon, turn him inside out, beats him again. Now this is a good footballer, turns to his right, sees Henderson Gill, who holds off Preston to score a very good try.
Well, chance for David Hobbs to kick his second goal of the night. It's 10 yards in from this right-hand touchline. Yorkshire attacking the St Michael's Road end of the ground. And Hobbs round the corner kicker. Very different from Steve Eller, who I saw last Sunday. He was a torpedo-style kicker and really gives it a whack, but Hobbs, and he looks like he's pulled that just to the left of the post. And so Yorkshire now 10 points, Lancashire 0, with some 17 minutes of this first half remaining. So the Wigan combination setting it up for Yorkshire. First Hanley after 4 minutes, and then Henderson Gill on 23. Yorkshire, of course, will be hoping to increase their series victories from 3 to 4, and also they've won the last 5 clashes between Yorkshire and Lancashire, 3 rod stocks and 2 of the normal ones. And of course, if Yorkshire win tonight, it'll be 41 games each with 3 draws. This ground, Morris, Headingley's not been a happy hunting ground for Yorkshire. They've lost 2, drawn 2, and the only win they've had was back in 1986 when they won 26 points to 14 here against Lancashire.
Yeah, it's a strange ground up here for various teams. You say it's not a happy hunting ground. Of course, it's a tremendous ground for tradition and one thing or another. There went many years, I think it was in the early 70s, before they actually lost a test match to Australia on this ground, Andrew. But as you say, it's not the best of places for Lancashire. Mind you know where it is just now, with Yorkshire winning 3 and apparently well on top in this one.
Oh, you have to be equal to both sides, Morris. And, and that's a bit of pace there being shown by Paul Dixon. Really raced onto that one, but Lancashire's tackling was equal to it. Skerritt. Fox and Goodway. Nowhere for Goodway to go. He's trying to keep the ball alive, but very difficult when 3 Lancashire defenders have you pinned down.
I think the fundamental difference between the 2 sides in possession, Andrew, is that the Yorkshire front row are more direct, and we've just seen Skerritt there with another tremendous surge. The Lancashire front row aren't doing that sort of job.
And fist going in, I think, and the referee's going to have a word with Andy Gregory for that tackle on Kelvin Skerritt. Not the ideal man to mix it with, Morris, when you're the size of Andy Gregory.
Well, as a tough customer is Andy. He's a very tough customer indeed, but I know where my money would be if it were for the heavyweight championship of the world. It'd be on Kelvin. He is one tough hombre.
So David Hobbs is some 20 yards out and virtually in line with the right-hand post, and doing the Australian way, taking his sand to tee the ball up. And this again should be a chance for Hobbs to kick a goal for Yorkshire and put them 12 points to 0 in front. And if David Hobbs has his kicking boots on tonight, then Lancashire will be worried about giving any penalties away within 40 yards. So he's already had 1 game where he kicked 9. That was against Salford, and also had a return of 6 as well. So can Paul Laughlin, of course, on the opposite side for Lancashire. He's had some good scores as well already this season. So Hobbs, the chance, and makes no mistake. So some 28 minutes gone, and it's Yorkshire now 12, Lancashire 0. And really Lancashire have got to try and pull something out, Morris, before half-time.
Yes, they need a score desperately to keep the game alive, otherwise the further it goes, I think by the look of it, Yorkshire are going to get more and more on top. As I say, I think the pack is more workmanlike, Andrew. They're more direct, they're hitting the ball up very short down the side of the ruck, they play the ball very close to the line of advantage, where Lancashire are trying to play a more lateral game and relying on the wiles of Andy Gregory to break them wide out with ducking and weaving. I think you've encountered matches like this, tantamount to test trials or whatever you want to call them. You've got to be direct, and I think Yorkshire are playing the better game.
David Hobbs and Kevin Beardmore, and thrown along the line, and Yorkshire have a slight overlap on this side. Schofield, Marchant looked inside, throws it wild, and really should probably have died with that to keep the game running in Yorkshire's favour, but tried to keep the ball alive, and the touch judge is in after, again, very difficult to see from this angle who it is that's down.
I think he's got a Yorkshire player for an elbow, Carl Gibson for an elbow. I think the touch should signal an elbow then, Andrew, and whether or not he were defending himself, who knows, but he's certainly caught the Lancashire man.
Certainly, yes, he's pointing to his elbow and giving a penalty. Robin Whitfield, who's controlled this game with admirable skill this evening. And the Lancashire player still down on the ground on that far side. It could be Rick Thackeray, I think. Certainly was marking Carl Gibson, as Gibson was looking for that ball from Tony Marchant. He never received it, but certainly Rick Thackeray received an elbow from him. And Sean Wayne can't make any ground there. Andy Gregory, reverse pass across to David Hume. Great Britain's half-back pairing in a lot of games in Australia, where Ellery Hanley was playing loose forward instead of stand-off half. You find that quite strange, Morris?
Not with a player of Hanley's capabilities, Andrew. He can play anyway. He'd play at number 8 if you asked him to play there, and he's always liable to do a good job. Just a top-class player.
Beardmore's taking that ball back in that tackle, and the Lancashire players looking a bit astounded at that decision.
I think you'll find that young Roberts tried to get a one-handed pass out while going down the tackle and wasn't in full control of the ball, and it was a pure intercept by Beardmore.
When you look, Morris, at the players that have been left out of both of these sides, they could have virtually put a side equal to either of them out.
Well, I think that shows us that shows the continuing strength of our football. We are getting stronger, there's no shadow of a doubt. And when you look at the options that both coaches had, and then again, like you mentioned earlier, Andrew, if you look at the players like Fire and Mumby, and various other players who can't be selected because of origin, it speaks well for the strength of our game.
Once again, a Lancashire player is down injured. The coach on the trainer on the pitch, as Ruckley goes back to pick that one up. Many years in the game, and he's finally got his first representative honour tonight. And he's Fox. Good evening here, Ellery Hanley from here, calling to Andy Goodway there, just to keep hold of the ball, not try and give any silly passes inside their own half. Hanley seems to be dictating everything. Of course, he's captain tonight, Morris.
Yes, yeah.
Dictating the whole game for Yorkshire.
That's right.
Schofield, but that's not one of Schofield's better kicks, it's just into space. And fullback Joe Lydon, that once again Schofield kicked that, but Lydon had only gone 5 yards before Schofield was on him. And Lancashire just cannot get moving at all, being pinned down by some strong Yorkshire tackling. But that's Mike O'Neill who's doing his utmost to break away. Just not the backing up on the ball, Morris.
No, they're playing sort of one-man rugby. This is what we mentioned earlier, Andrew. When the forwards are taking up, they're crabbing a little bit. They're going across the field. The front row aren't half as effective as the Yorkshire front row.
Oh, neatly picked up there. Very neat pick up, one-handed. And we're just inside now the last 10 minutes, and Yorkshire have a 12-0 lead from that Hanley try. Then a Hobbs conversion, a Gill try, and then on 28 minutes a David Hobbs penalty, giving that scoreline of 12-0. And O'Neill again in that one, but loose pass, and Derek Pike was having difficulty in handling that properly. Won't be very pleased with Mike O'Neill there. Because not only did he receive a bad pass, but he was immediately bounced on by Kevin Beardmore and Kelvin Skerritt.
I think in that situation, Andrew, Pike was going for the pass originally and just deviated just at the second the ball was coming out of the hands of the ball passer. Hanley
and Ruckley looking for the gap, dives under, but gap closed rather quickly on him. Ellery Hanley at the play the ball again, and this time nobody with him, and oh, if he could have got that ball out to Schofield, and the look on Schofield's face there as Ellery Hanley's arm was just tagged into his side, he just couldn't get the ball to him. And the penalty being awarded, I think, for Schofield being offside.
Yes,
Morris, although he put his arms up,
yes,
I think he was interfering with play.
That doesn't constitute being onside. If you put your arms up, Andrew, he's got to get back 5 metres behind the line of the play the ball, which he didn't.
And that was a very good kick. It's gained a good 30 yards. And at last, Lancashire going, and Nicky Kiss says let's go, but the only man he had with him was Mark Preston. The rest of the Lancashire side are a good 20 yards, 30 yards behind. As Sean Wayne tries to push forward, but nobody with him, and as Morris said earlier, just one-man rugby from Lancashire at the moment, but plenty of time remaining. This first half, just 5 minutes. Of course, there's a whole of the second half to go, and games can change. The old football saying a game of 2 halves, well, this could very easily be just that. As Paul Laughlin gets that ball through, and Lancashire trying to keep the ball alive. Derek Pike going down to a tackle. Nicky Kiss at the play of the ball, and Andy Gregory with him. Ooh, long ball out there to Rick Thackeray. Marchant and Gibson take him. People like Carl Gibson and Derek Fox, David Hobbs have played in all the last 5 games and neatly taken there under the post. Peter Fox stays with his men, he inspires loyalty, I'm told, and the players do give him that. As Skerrett tries to plough forward. Gill looking for some action, he's been out of it since he scored that try. The only action he finds is when he loses the ball. David Hume trying to get Lancashire moving. And Joe Lydon's come up into an attacking position. The first time we've seen him in that sort of position, Maurice.
Yes, I'm surprised Dougie hadn't allowed for Joe to come up more on a big pitch like that.
Oh, Gregory. And that's... Oh, and Hume taking that deflection off of Ellery Hanley, but the tackling too strong for him, and that was a good position for Lancashire. Failed
to control the football, Andrew. You know, when you regain a kick like that so near the line, you've got to spring the next attack quickly, and unfortunately the player...
And this ball, both sides losing the ball on either the first or second tackle, and this is a chance here for Lancashire. Paul Laughlin, but Skerrett wraps him in that strong grip and brings him down. He had, of course, Mark Preston on his outside, but not go anywhere when somebody like Skerrett gets a wrap of you like that. Lancashire now trying to get some points on the board just before half-time, with about 3 minutes remaining. Andy Gregory. Hume managing to substitute, but oh, and Gibson knocked that one up, and a good tackle coming in because Gibson knocked that ball up in the air, just managing to get a scrum.
A super cover tackle from David Hume. He read the situation. He was involved in the attack, saw the interception, back quickly and brought off a lovely tackle on Carl Gibson.
We were saying earlier, Maurice, that the crowd was quite sparse, but it seems to have built up quite nicely, and underneath, as I understand, there's quite a significant number of people as well. So
yes, it's a nice little gate. Man, so it should be, Andrew. It's a top game in our calendar.
Of course, tonight there's another game on in Leeds, which is Leeds United, and that may have affected the attendance somewhat. There's good way dummies 1 or 2 men, but finally tackled. Ellery Hanley. So you got a last of the Mohicans haircut there. Maurice, it makes him look even more fiercer than he is normally.
Yeah, the barbers must have been doing a good trade with Carl Gibson and Henderson, Gill and Ellery. They've all got the same sort of haircut. If we find out who's cut them, Andrew will go put the windows in.
Roy Powell not been involved as much tonight, Maurice, as you would think normally, as Paul Dixon crashes through. Beardmore and Skerrett, who's had a very powerful game for Yorkshire, as he normally does on a Sunday for Bradford Northern. Derek Fox, Hanley, Schofield looking for that little kick through, but trapped there by Paul Laughlin. Neat football trap, and Hanley knocking the ball out of the hands of Sean Wayne, and Mr. Whitfield's right there on the spot, as he's been all evening. A lot of referees get stick, Maurice, but Whitfield's been in good order tonight.
Yes, good referee, Robin, good referee. He knows the game, experienced man. He's a sort of referee that the players trust too, Andrew, you know.
And finally, ball knocked forward.
I think that's been Lancashire's problem, dropping the ball, early tackles. In a match of this calibre, you've got to hold the ball for as long as you want to. I would say that Lancashire should be looking to hold it for the full 5 and bringing the kicking game on the last tackle, but they're unable to hold it for the full 5.
Well, virtually at the end of this first half, and it's Yorkshire 12, Lancashire 0. As Lancashire try in this dying seconds to make a break, but Ruckley in there with a good tackle. And And Roy Powell is having a fairly quiet game this evening. He managed to get his tackle in there. And there's a little altercation off the ball between Andy Gregory and I think it was Roy Powell. Little and large again. Andy Gregory mixing it with two of the biggest men on the pitch tonight. Lancashire coming forward. Strong running there, but nobody for Derek Pike to pass to. Gregory takes it to this side. Paul Hume. It's centre tackling there by Gary Schofield. That's going to be high. Ruckley's under it, takes it well. And absolutely everything by the book as the hooter goes for half-time. Score at half-time, Yorkshire 12, Lancashire 0. Morrison, your comments on that first half?
Well, it's just the coughed up possession too easily.
Well, Derek Fox about to get this second half of the Rodstock War of the Roses, the fourth game in this series, underway. And Andy Gregory fields that kick. So this Rodstock series has certainly brought a lot of life to the Lancashire-Yorkshire games. 9 games previous to this series, only bringing in some 20,000 people. In fact, 3 games on the trot had under 2,000 fans at each game, and that wasn't good for the Lancashire-Yorkshire fixture, but it's certainly now been turned around. We've had a reasonably interesting first half without there being too much excitement, but one terrific piece of class by Gary Schofield, and good backing up by Henderson Gill, I think was the highlight of the first half. Yorkshire with the ball. Ruckley has had a good game in the first half. And David Hobbs, who's been an ever-present in the last 5 Lancashire-Yorkshire games, as Goodway and Beardmore, Fox and Hanley. Hanley looking to break clear, but can't just get that pass out. And the cover was there for Lancashire anyway.
I see Andrew Career's resumed at 3. Andrew
yes.
Seems to be recovered from his knock early on.
Well, that one kicked long, but not quite as accurate kicking as Fox usually does. I saw the opening game of Featherstone's campaign in the Stones Bitter Championship, and Fox and Stedman kicked some very good touch finders. In fact, Stedman was superb on that afternoon, and he's one of the substitutes for Yorkshire. And with Joyner as well as a standoff, what a choice to make from Stedman, Joyner and Hanley.
Yeah, tremendous strength.
Oh, and that little chip over the top there by David Hume went to the tallest man on the pitch, Roy Powell, and he just knocked it up. Picked it up, and now Yorkshire in a good position, and Hobbs driving between 2 players, just about a yard short. That was the first tackle, of 5 more to come if they keep this ball alive. Hanley, Schofield puts it on Goodway, but Ruckley's there to retrieve it. The Yorkshire still have the ball. Once more trying to gain that little bit of space for themselves by that drop pass. They're not just hammering away at the line, but to have a little bit of leeway to manage to make some sort of a move here. Fox is going to be at the heart of it by the looks of it. Some sort of run around move, a little chip through, it's into space, unless that was very neatly taken by Joe Lydon. But that was a typical Fox kick through there.
Yes, a kick into the in goal. That's in the first half when I said they might bring in the kicking game. That's the sort of kick I expected from Derek. Keep the pressure on, put the ball into the in goal area, hope that the defence makes a mistake, and the pressure's all on them.
And Joe Lydon's kick out there couldn't have been any more accurate. It's straight down the throat of Andy Goodway, and he made a good 15 yards. Henderson Gill looking for some action. Finds it with a little 5-yard jinking run. Beardmore at the play the ball, as he often is, and Ellery Hanley just taking his eye off that ball a little there, and unusual for Ellery, but every good player drops a pass from time to time.
I think it's about the first time I've ever seen Ellery do that, just check the tackle before he caught the ball. It's the first time ever. It just shows even great players do it.
4 minutes of the first half gone, and Fox and Hanley combining Ruckley inside to Schofield in front of his home fans. Be hoping to get another break as he did in the first half when Gill backed him up to score Yorkshire's second try on 23 minutes. The crowd behind that goal that Lancashire are defending. And it's good to see, and I think if it hadn't have been for the football at Ellen Road tonight, then we would have had an even bigger crowd, although there's a lot of people who watched both games. And a lot of season ticket holders at Ellen Road would have probably been here tonight. Fox. Oh, missing out, Schofield, Skerrett, Gill, in a typical position where Gill scores a lot of tries, where he goes off the right foot onto his left and darts inside with his power. Fox, high ball, and everybody's under that. And in fact, I think it was Joe Lydon who missed it, but Lancashire then got it back, but it's been retrieved by Yorkshire. And the crowd behind that goal there are now beginning to, the pressure, man down. Oh, what an overlap on that side. But that was really an overlap, Morris, there.
Well, I think if we're going to see the video, if we're going to see the video recording of that, we'd have seen Rick Thackeray. He must have been at least 10 yards offside. He was on the 10-yard line as the ball was played on Mr. Whitfield's blind side, and it was Rick Thackeray who actually knocked Schofield's pass down and saved a certain 4 points.
There's certainly four-man overlap on this side with people like Carl Gibson and Tony Marchant there. I think they would have finished that one off without any problem, but that was not to be. And some 6 minutes of the second half gone, 34 minutes remaining, and penalty there at that scrum. Mr. Whitfield certainly stamped his authority on this game right from the off. And that ball, in fact, nearly finishing up with us in the just about a yard away as it bounced off the side terracing here. Lancashire hoping they can get some points on the board to give us a grandstand finish to this match. Hanley again with a tackle. That's well over 20 tackles from Ellery Hanley in the first half, and a few more besides in this one. And with a man who can tackle so well in midfield, then your opportunities are limited down the middle, and you've got to swing it out wide and hope that your flank players do it. But even Andy Gregory now is beginning to look a little rattled and dispirited and wondering where his next decent ball is going to come from. As Ruckley shakes off the attentions of Andy Courier, who went off for a spell in the first half, but he's come back on. Skerrett, who took a lot of sting out of the Lancashire forwards with a massive, powerful stint in the first half. And his fellow Bradford Northern player there, and his colleague David Hobbs, just makes 5 yards. Roy Powell, quiet first half. And he was one of the successes, Morris, of the tour down under.
Well, you mentioned it 2 or 3 times about him being quiet, but he's never far from the ball. He's always busy, always tackling. He's not the sort of player who knocks your eyes out with 10-star performances, but he's the type of player that all the rest would have in the team first up.
I think that was more of a drop goal attempt by Derek Fox, but way wide. The judgment there of Maurice Bamford, of course, former Great Britain coach, and he knows what players can do when the commentator, such as myself, is watching slight things that...
yeah, there was no disrespect there, Andrew.
No,
it's
okay,
just that,
Morris.
you know, Powell does a lot of work unseen. He's never far away from the ball, never makes many mistakes.
An experienced eye of Maurice Bamford picking out Powell's contribution in a game which has never really set the fans alight yet, but there's still some 32 minutes remaining. And Lancashire had a chance there on that far side. Paul Laughlin, but his heart must have been in his mouth, because Henderson Gill was waiting right behind him and he managed to snatch that ball out of the air. Mark Roberts and to go forward, smothered by his opposite number, Roy Powell. Lancashire for the first time on the attack here, Hume. But Goodway and Beardmore have him. And there's certainly been no love lost between fellow players of both Widnes and Wigan, mainly Wigan, because of course they have players on both sides. On, breaking out in one tackle, Gibson. Oh, and if that had only gone to Gary Schofield, but Paul Laughlin stepping inside. Well tackled by Hanley. Good break out there by Carl Gibson, but Lancashire now with it. Oh, keeping the ball moving, Nicky Kiss. Back there, Mark Roberts. Just couldn't make that final break. As Lancashire for the first time in the second half, and the first time for a long time, pile on the pressure, Joe Lydon. But once again, tackling coming in, hard and strong from Yorkshire. And Lancashire, nobody there for Derek Pike to play the ball to. Finally gets it to Paul Hume. It's 10 minutes gone. Andy Gregory. Oh, working that one across there. Steps inside, and that's a Lancashire try, and that's been coming for the last minute or so. Comes from Rick Thackeray, but it was Andy Gregory with that overhead pass, Morris, that set that one up.
Yes, it was nice how Andy ran laterally across the field, showed a dummy inside to a supporting Lancashire colleague. 2 or 3 of the Yorkshire cover tacklers bought it, left the gate open for the overhead pass, and Thackeray finished it off well. Again, I'm a little bit surprised at taking a chance of beating 2 men in the in-goal area, and I'd have been satisfied to put the ball down for 4 points. So, you know, a lot of things could have happened to beating the 2 men in the in-goal area, but a good score.
And that gives the score now at 12 points to 4.
Lancashire attack inside the Yorkshire quarter, wide pass to Andy Gregory. Gregory runs wide, sucks all the defence with a dummy, overhead pass to Thackeray, who does well to step inside Marchant and score a good try. Beats 1 man and almost 2 inside the in-goal area.
It's 10 yards, 11 yards in from the right-hand touchline. No wind to speak of tonight, so kicking is very good. Chance, and man going off there is Kelvin Skerritt, I think, being replaced. And Laughlin will try and give Lancashire 6 points and put the deficit to just 1 score, and he's pulled it way to the left, as David Hobbs did with the kick when the Gill try went in. And so we have a score with just 12 minutes gone in the second half, 28 remaining. It's Yorkshire 12, Lancashire 4. And that might just wake Yorkshire up a little bit now, Morris. They were, just for a fraction of time, looking a little bit sedate and
possibly a little bit complacent. 10-0 up, yeah.
And the man to come on, number 15, David Heron, another Leeds player. So he got a rousing cheer when he came on. Oh, and Yorkshire had stolen the ball in that tackle. Skerritt was the man to go off. Hobbs, he's still on for Bradford Northern and Yorkshire. And Heron's going to take that one. Ellery Hanley and Yorkshire. Oh, Hanley bounced 1 man off with a shoulder charge there. 6 or 7 yards out from the Lancashire line. And Hanley just a little bit shaken by that tackle. Oh, Ruckley gives it out to Marchant. Marchant is going to be in for a try. Well, a neat little dummy by Marchant, but Yorkshire swung that from one side of the pitch to the other. And it's Tony Marchant who puts Yorkshire 16 points to 4 in front, Morris.
Dave Heron read that superbly. He hits Marchant with a super 20-yard pass, spin pass. Very accurate indeed. I didn't know Dave had it in him, but it just shows you how players can sometimes surprise coaches. It was a beautiful pass, put Marchant clear into the gap. The problem was that Andy Gregory appeared to me right from the kick-off when he fielded the ball inside his own in-goal area. He didn't come up with any venom. The ball was stolen from him by Dixon. Yorkshire moved the ball to their right, then brought it back again, and Andy Gregory was still stood in the centre position. Whether or not he's had a knock or whether or not he feels a little bit off colour, I don't know. But certainly he shouldn't have been in that position. It was Andy's lack of pace that let Marchant in through the gap. Drive from Ellery Hanley, superb strong run. From the play of the ball, swift hands to Dave Aaron, who shows remarkable dexterity with his hands to send out a superb pass which splits the defence. Ruckley on to Marchant. Marchant shows a dummy through the gate for a very good try.
And now David Hobbs from wide out on this right-hand side, but it's the right way for him to kick, and he makes no mistake. And so, when best time to score, of course, is when you just had a score against you, get one straight back. 6 points on the board for Yorkshire, and the score now, Yorkshire 18 and Lancashire 4. That try coming on 53 minutes after Rick Thackeray had got 4 points back for Lancashire just a minute and a half before. It's a neat play by Yorkshire, spinning the ball very quickly along the line and giving Marchant a try. So at last the game has come to a boil. Had 2 tries in 2 minutes, and can we now see some fluent open rugby with plenty of tries to keep these fans warm. It's getting a little bit chilly here now as the night draws in under these superb new floodlights of Leeds. They've only just been finished within the last few days, and they really are making it nearly like a summer's day. Gary Schofield with that kick, but 2 Lancashire defenders back for it. Oh, and good tackle coming in, but that was an instance of Lancashire really trying to get back into this game, showing a bit of pace at last. Lancashire just 5 yards inside the Yorkshire half. Andy Gregory with that, again using that pass, lifting the ball high in the air and looping it over the tall defender. Oh, that's good running on there by Paul Hume, but just couldn't make the break because there's just nobody there to take his inside pass. Some of the Lancashire fans below us were looking for a head-high tackle there. Mr. Whitfield was right on the spot. Andy Gregory, oh yes, oh, and that was unfortunate as Roy Powell jumped in there. Morris, Andy Gregory just trying something, didn't quite come off, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, and Henderson Gill taking that pass from Schofield. It's good cover.
Tremendous cover. Looked like Paul Hume, who just had a real bad knockdown there and got up and made a super cover tackle like that. Full of guts, that kid. Very good prospect, young Hume. Did well on the last tour too when he went out as a replacement.
Well, that looked like a chance, but as Morris said, good covering by Lancashire to get across there and put Henderson Gill into touch when he only needs half a chance. Certainly the game now livening up, both sides willing to attack at every opportunity. And end-to-end stuff as Lancashire win that scrum. And David Hume. David Hearn has come on and he's been involved in all the action. The way you can tell him is his shirt is absolutely snow white. And Andy Gregory throws that long pass. And Laughlin's been involved in a lot, Morris, in the second half. As Lancashire come forward, Paul Hume, gets in and pass out. And they're keeping that ball running. Laughlin's beginning to exert some authority in midfield for Lancashire.
He is indeed. He's a big, strong player with bags of pace.
There's a big gap here. So with 3 tries in some just 6 or 7 minutes, and that's really now got this crowd warm and alive.
Lancashire move the ball wide. Gregory involved again. Mike Neal does superbly well here. Carries the ball, turns it inside to Andy Currier, who goes in for a very strong try.
Well, Yorkshire were 12 points to nil up at half time, and it went 12-4 with a Rick Thackeray try. Lancashire's now second try there by Paul Hume, and this now with a chance for Paul Laughlin to put Lancashire within 8 points of Yorkshire and set us up with a thrilling last 25 minutes. But again, he's hooked that ball to the left of the post, and those are chances missed. There's a chance for 4 points for Paul Laughlin, but he's missed them both. So it's the score now after some 59 minutes is Yorkshire 18, Lancashire 8, and only 10 points between the sides.
Yes, we've got a game on his hands. You said earlier about young Laughlin coming more and more into the game. I think he is too, Andrew. I think the tour, the recent tour did him a power of good. I believe he was chosen tourist of the tour. He won the award for the best tourist, and he's certainly picked his game up from that experience.
And Yorkshire player being taken off on the far side, and I'm afraid it's Henderson Gill who's gone off, and Yorkshire substitute Graham Steadman, and Henderson in fact is being carried off on a stretcher. Maybe a precautionary measure, let's hope so. Good catch by Ruckley. Let's hope that that stretcher carrying is, just as I say, a precautionary measure, just to make sure that nothing is damaged. We're getting a warm round of applause from the crowd on that far side. And Heron taking part of the battering ram approach now. Give some of his fellow forwards a slight rest. And Hanley nowhere to go in that situation. 18 points to 8, halfway through the second half, so only 20 minutes remaining for Lancashire to pull that deficit of 10 points back, and there may be a chance here. Will Andy Gregory get to that? And he does. Turrier-like, and he really went for that ball, Morris. There was no way anybody else was getting it.
Typical Andy Gregory. That's the epitome of Andy Gregory. Everything about him was Andy Gregory at his best. The charge down, the determination, the regathering, the skills of regaining possession.
So that's kicked through there by Gary Schofield, charged down by Andy Gregory, has given Lancashire possession, and Yorkshire now slightly up against it as Lancashire start to put a little bit of pressure on. The game certainly has opened up in this second half. It's not a thriller by any means, but it's certainly a lot of good, interesting rugby. Five tackles, and Gregory outside of his right boot, picked up. Oh, and that unfortunately was a forward pass, but Andy Gregory's chip through there was a football chip with the outside of his right boot, spun the ball into the space, picked up, thrown out to the far side, but unfortunately the substitute Barry Dowd was adjudged, the pass was adjudged forward. I think it was from Nicky Kiss, and unfortunately for Lancashire, score ruled out, but that was a super little kick by Andy Gregory. Very, very good kick, and he's charged the ball down just seconds before to gain possession, and then with a superb kick with the outside of his right foot, spinning it into play for his man to run onto. Well, Lancashire now giving Yorkshire a lot of problems and plenty to think about, and Peter Fox will be having words. But Yorkshire have an overlap on this side, Marchant, but Gibson's well held by Rick Thackeray. Scorer of Lancashire's first try, Paul Hume, the scorer of their second. And 3 tries in 8 minutes in the second half has given us a score of Yorkshire 18, Lancashire 8, and we've got something we don't want to see as Robin Whitfield and the touch judge, in fact the other touch judge coming on now, and Robin Whitfield having a little smile to himself, deciding to bring the 2 number 13s together and give them a fairly stern talking to. Certainly warmed the crowd up down there, that slight altercation, but Robin Whitfield's in there giving them both the hard word. Any more of it and you'll be on your way.
Well, you don't like to see any forms of fisticuffs, Andrew, but one thing about it, we're seeing a little bit of fight, not in the fighting sense, but we're seeing a little bit of spirit amongst them. And this, I think, is what has been lacking over the last few years, Yorkshire and Lancashire. A little bit of spirit, particularly, and I'm not being biased now, from the Lancashire lads. It's nice to see Paul Young standing up for his county and having a go.
Well, I think in this game, Maurice, that's the one thing that probably has been a little bit missing, and it's fired them both up. Ellery Hanley, who thrusts out his arm to try and push off Paul Hume, who scored the Lancashire's second try. Fox and his Heron looking for Carl Gibson, who was involved in that little fisticuffs down below when he was tackled hard. Beardmore, Hobbs once again does what he does every Sunday for Bradford. He takes 2 or 3 defenders with him. That ball from Derek Fox with Andy Goodway running onto it. Roy Powell, and Lancashire really didn't come to meet him there, gave him good 10 yards, and that's put Lancashire back within 15 yards of their own post. And referee Mr. Whitfield, seeing when he played the ball when he'd already been tackled on the floor, and has given a penalty to Lancashire.
A good decision that, actually. Some referees might have just called it back and give a handover, but Kevin Beardmore did part with the ball after he'd been sort of grounded and tackled, so it was a very good decision.
And Lancashire keeping it alive and playing, I think, now the more attractive of the two teams.
Yes, I think they're giving themselves a little bit of depth as well as width, and this is where the most dangerous. Andy Gregory's buzzing again. He had a 10 minutes, first 10 minutes into the second half, he went to sleep a little bit. I think he must have got a knock when he was making that try.
And that's a good kick. Ruckley having to go back, as Morris said at half-time, that he'd probably try and kick the ball over the top of Ruckley to make him turn and run. Well, that time he had to turn, but the kick's not going into touch. We've hardly seen a kick for touch that has actually found it from long distance. A couple of short-range ones, but nothing of any consequence. Steadman, who's on that right wing for Yorkshire, well, he's an excellent touch finder when he gets going, but of course he's having to play out on the wing at the moment. And he's come inside for this one. It's 5 yards. It's 26 minutes of the second half gone, so we've only got 14 minutes remaining. And it's 18 points to 8 in Yorkshire's favour. Marchant. And trying to slip the ball out to Dixon, but decided on the holding the ball instead. Ellery Hanley looking for the gap. Power and pace, goes away from one man. And really shows why the Aussies were very fond of Ellery, with his terrific power over 10 yards, and then when you think you've got him held, Morris, he's away. That's
the strength of the man, yes. He's a very strong player, very well balanced runner. Losing possibly the pace he had 2 or 3 years ago, he's put that little bit more weight on now, so he might have lost a half a yard or a yard, but by putting that extra weight on, of course, he's much stronger, and this is his strong suit, is his strength.
Lancashire winning that, and Nicky Kiss has done very well in the scrums tonight. Certainly kept Lancashire with a lot of possession. Only lost one against the head. That was early in the first half. And a good hooker, good steady hooker, Nicky Kiss. Andy Gregory. Oh. And once again, Gregory trying everything he can, full of Lancashire spirit, to try and get his team moving, and he slipped that little ball underneath there, but it was knocked down by a Yorkshire hand, so we've got a scrum down just inside the Lancashire 25 on the far side of the pitch.
It shows a Lancashire adventurous spirit, Andrew, when they're wanting to play football inside their own 25. Early in the series of tackles again. Possibly Andy just tried a little bit too much there. He did everything right, made the half break, but he continued the run and settled for yardage and maintained possession.
And Derek Fox putting that one in, and Beardmore wins it. And oh, this is a chance! This is an excellent chance! Always away! It's Joe Lydon! Will Joe Lydon get through? going to go all the way, but a combination there of Graham Steadman and Carl Gibson managed to get him. Steadman coming way from the far right flank of Yorkshire, but they've got another chance here of Lancashire. And that's going to be in. It's a try. Well, Lancashire didn't get it when Joe Lydon broke away, but they quickly switched the ball from right to left. And that was a good try on that left flank. Super try.
It was the substitute, I think, Andrew. I believe in the programme it's down as Barry Dowd.
And Barry Dowd it was. So that ball and Morris there, thought Joe Lydon was going to score, but...
Well, yeah, going back in time, possibly 2 years since none of the Yorkshire players had seen Joe Lydon, but Steadman did remarkably well to make up all the ground, although the diagonal cover has always got the advantage in a straight run. Here we see Thackeray retrieving a lost ball, held in the tackle, up and plays the ball. Lancashire move it wide to the left. Big wide pass out to Andy Gregory. Andy Gregory finds there Mike O'Neill. Courier does well, straightens up, beats two men, slips a pass, touched on by Steadman, onto Barry Dowd, who scores a very good try.
Oh, and that's a superb kick from Paul Laughlin. Now that was a good kick, and I think he might be ruining the two chances that he's missed, which were far easier than that one, from the left-hand flank there and kicking it right between the posts. And that try has made this a very interesting game now, because the score is Yorkshire 18, Lancashire 14. What a game, Morris.
Yes, and as I was saying about the try, when they did move it to the left, Lancashire, from Lydon's big run, Andy Courier did remarkably well again. Straightened it up and gave the pass that sent Dowd in.
And Barry Dowd putting Lancashire in with a great chance. They're within a score of Yorkshire now. A try and a goal, of course, will give them the lead. That try coming on 69 minutes. And Lancashire have scored 3 tries, so Yorkshire's won this first half. In the second half, so we've 3 tries apiece each side, and it's the Hobbs conversions and the Hobbs penalty that are making the difference. And Lancashire away again. Oh, that's thrown away, thrown forward. Steadman trapped it with his left foot, and neatly played by Steadman. Slight hint of danger about it, but Lancashire now, as Dougie Lawton said he would do, he'd have players with pace, passion and power, and they've certainly had all of that in this second half. The old football saying a game of 2 halves, it's certainly been that, because Lancashire have been the better of the 2 sides, Morris.
Yes, if you just look at the silly mistake that early on, the loss of possession by Andy Gregory, and it's made all the difference.
So Yorkshire try and come forward through Carl Gibson. That super goal kick by Paul Laughlin has really put a nail in Yorkshire's coffin there. 18 points to 14 with some 9 minutes remaining. Fox kicking for the corner, but it's wild and long, and that's going to help nobody. The thing it has done is it's kept Lancashire within their own 25. But it's unusual for Derek Fox not to find touch with some of these kicks. And when Joe Lydon raced away there, the man who was at fault partly for Yorkshire was Gary Schofield, because he tried to kick through when he had an overlap. That's not the first time that's happened in this second half.
That's right.
Well, Lancashire making a real fight of this Rodstock Roses battle, and there's a little bit of niggle creeping in as well, which is certainly enlightening things. And Schofield!
Right.
Oh, that is a great... Schofield nips in. Oh, what disaster for Lancashire. A terrible pass coming out. Schofield picked it out of the air, as he does quite often for Leeds, and there was nobody going to catch Schofield, and Yorkshire, from being on the rack with Lancashire pulling those points back, suddenly steal a try, Morris.
Well, that's one of the reasons when I was coach at Leeds we paid the world record fee for Gary Schofield. is the world's #1 try poacher. He can score tries from intercepts, he can score tries off his own bat, he can score you a try just when you need one, as he's done now for Yorkshire.
Well, that's a disaster for Lancashire. We'll look on the replay later and Morris will describe it to you, but...
With Lancashire bang on top and putting Yorkshire under tremendous pressure, the ball goes out to Derek Pike, who delays his pass, sends it out, and there it is, suicidal, as Gary Schofield, the world's #1 intercept merchant, scores a brilliant try.
So
Derek just delayed his pass momentarily, which is suicidal when Schofield's concerned, because when he's hovering about and the ball's in the air from a long pass, anything can happen.
Well, Hobbs now, he's not even bothered to use the sand this time. He's dug himself a little hole in the gridding that's been cut in this thing and puts it over. And from being 18-14 up and on the rack, now Yorkshire are 24 points, Lancashire 14, and Lancashire now got to score twice to have any chance. And we've only got some 6 minutes remaining, but anything can happen. Andy Gregory, who's going to take this kick off, is the man who's not going to take the kick off. He's held it for Andy Courier to kick forward. Andy Courier, of course, who can kick goals as well. As Yorkshire push forward. 26 points we've had in this second half and 5 tries to only the 2 in the first half. Yorkshire going at the turnaround 12 points nearly in front, and it's 12-4 as Lancashire hit back. Tony Marchant then going in for a try for Yorkshire, 18-4, and then a Paul Hume try, 18-8, and then that Barry Dowd try and that superb conversion by Laughlin put Lancashire back in. But then an aberration by one of the forwards, throwing a weak pass out, Gary Schofield, and Hobbs' conversion have put Yorkshire now with a 10-point cushion and into the last 5 minutes. Any hope for Lancashire, Morris, at this stage?
I think that try just might have knocked the wind out of the sails, and the minutes are vital now. We're going into the last possibly 7 or 8 minutes, and it's to score twice against this Yorkshire side would take a lot of doing. Although they have shown commendable spirit with a second half fight back.
And another chance here. Ellery Hanley taps it forward. Marchant went in and they've still got it. And luckily it is. And Gary Schofield, scorer of that try just a few minutes ago. And a little bit Stedman. Oh, and Stedman was balked and looked like at first he was balked there, Morris. But how did you see that one?
Well, I thought it should have been a penalty, but I thought it should have been the other way. I thought Stedman was blatantly obstructed, but Mr. Whitfield was right on the job, and whether or not he saw anything much nearer the play than we are, I don't know, but it looked as though the penalty should have gone to an obstruction on Stedman. Yeah, penalty to Yorkshire.
The linesman on that far side had a fairly good view of it, didn't do anything to raise his flag, but Stedman appeared to be balked, at least on 2 occasions there, as he kicked through and had his shirt pulled back as well. But Robin Whitfield was right on the spot. And,
he had a good long look at the apparent obstruction on Stedman, but just let play go on, and then he gave the penalty the other way for an infringement from the dead ball situation.
Stedman using his standoff tactics there, looking for that try. It was not to be, and Lancashire come forward. They've got Andy Gregory, he'll drive them forward in this last 3 minutes. And it's been a much better game in this second half, with both sides playing some attractive rugby. Lancashire a slight edge in the second half, but just a weakness occasionally in defence has cost them dear. 4 tries to Yorkshire, 3 to Lancashire. Laughlin only converting 1 of those tries, which was the hardest of the 3. Kicked into space by Joe Lydon, but Stedman takes that over his right shoulder. Comes inside, he took another whack there as he stepped inside 1 tackle. And I don't think he'll be bothered, because it looks as though Peter Fox is going to win his 4th Rodstock War of the Roses encounter. Alex Murphy tried 3 times to beat him, and this time Dougie Lawton, well, he'll have another probably chance. And you think, Morris, about perhaps it might be the better if it's a best of 3 series with a neutral decider if it needs to be. Do you think that might?
I don't know. I think it may lose some of its impact. It's billed as a War of the Roses, or the Battle of the Roses, War of the. They've got to be one-off. So I don't think you can extend it. I think the more you extend it in the best of three, it loses its impact, Andrew.
What about extending it to the fact that with a state of, maybe as the Aussies have a state of origin, we could possibly maybe have
three in a
best of the
season,
others, and maybe even a Welsh national or origin side.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Lancashire coming forward, and Morrison will get a chance maybe to have a word as this ball is knocked down.
I think, again, I've got to reiterate what I said earlier. I think that if it's a triangular competition,
won the Rodstock Man of the Match award, and I think nobody would deny him that.
No. We're going back to that triangular competition. I don't think you can include a Welsh team. If it's a county competition, you've got to include Cumbria. Again, a county full of pride. The Cumbrians are playing France this year in a county versus international match next month in Cumbria, and I'd like to see Cumbria included if it's going to be a triangular tournament.
Yorkshire coming forward. Andy Gregory may not have won this game for Lancashire, but he certainly won the Man of the Match award, and nobody would deny him that, because he's certainly been at the heart of everything Lancashire have done tonight, and a real captain's job he's done opposite Ellery Hanley, who's in the first half was dictating all the play. Second half been a little bit quieter, but I think he took a knock towards the start of the second half when Tony Marchant scored that try. Hanley was down on his knees on the far side of the pitch, and he's looking there for support. Gets it, thrown inside to Steadman. Steadman across this side, Hobbs. And David Hobbs has kicked 3 goals as the hooter goes. And a final score, Yorkshire 24, Lancashire 14. Lancashire